happens when you take the ceaseless enemy-slaying madness from Earth Defense Force developer Yuke's and reattribute it to an anime aesthetic with robot girls front and center. You get Full Metal Schoolgirl. This over-the-top third-person shooter action game made an energetic splash during its announcement, and its promotional material has unabashedly and confidently embraced its niche appeal. Going into it, I had mild expectations, anticipating a messy runaround, and while that jankiness is undeniably present and persistent, there's a surprising degree of genuine skill-based fulfilling progression that can make the cyclical adventure worthwhile for particular crowds.
Eat this! That was a close one!
Full Metal Schoolgirl is set in the year 2089, where the United Federation of Japan's reputation for a drastic overwork culture has reached a boiling point. 24-hour workdays are the norm, and breaks are a rarity. Plus, the entirety of the society's structure is helmed by the world's most sizable corporation, Maternal Jobs. Naturally, this company is the antagonistic group in this story, and the two heroes of this title, Ryoko and Akemi, aim to take them down. Their goal involves climbing to the 100th floor of Maternal Jobs' headquarters, all to eliminate its CEO. This narrative serves more as a backdrop than anything else, with comedy being the central appeal. The dire straits of the crunch culture are more so played in excess for laughs, though moments of tension do seep through. For instance, when beginning the game, you choose between Ryoko and Akemi as your main character, and the one you don't select is left behind in the tower, with her whereabouts unknown. Still, occasions like those are more lingering, barely present plot threads compared to the constant back and forth between your character and Professor Hakase. This supportive vendor augments these mechanical girls with various upgrades and also provides a hefty bulk of the levity. In many ways, the tone and story pacing here are highly reminiscent of a PS2, PS3 era low-budget Japanese shooter or action game where camp is the ruling force above all. I suppose a close comparison would be Lollipop Chainsaw, though this is still even less serious than the emotional through line that game embraces. Regardless, you'll be here for the gameplay, and Full Metal Schoolgirl has an addictive loop beneath its peculiar design decisions and frustrations. The overall progression format is comparable to a roguelike because climbing 100 floors in one go is not remotely feasible when you first start, so you're instead intended to make miniature strides and upon each death, internalize enemy behaviors for future attempts. Plus, various upgrade materials gathered from a run are retained, which are then redeemed at Professor Hakase, who can install permanent enhancements such as new abilities and raw stat increases. Conceptually, it's a delightful loop, but it is needlessly elongated, likely just an attempt to extend playtime. To elaborate, deaths result in extensive losses of acquired materials needed for upgrades, and while you can gradually update a perk from Professor Hakase that mitigates these losses, the whole idea just feels entirely unnecessary. This essentially doubles the items you need to gather across subsequent runs without any meaningful justification.
One challenge down. Glad that's over with. I should be safe now.
A similarly vexing design choice is rooted in the progression of the tower itself. Reaching certain levels of the skyscraper results in a culminating boss battle that, upon victory, grants numerous rewards, including an elevator key at this point and others. This item lets you continue from that floor of the tower during your next run, which is a terrific incentive considering how lengthy these treks can become. However, the catch here is that for whatever reason, these keys are consumable, so if you use one and don't gain others throughout the tower, you have to restart from the first floor all over again. Not only does this waste time, but it's just poor design. This almost expects you to defeat a boss or prevail against rooms you've never faced before on your first attempt, an entirely unrealistic assumption. Yet the significant processes of climbing the tower and killing robots are pretty compelling in practice, thanks to smooth controls and varied mechanics. Brief platforming sequences add variety too. In combat, Akemi and Ryoko use firearms and close-range blade weapons, each tied to their own respective energy gauges. Still, the guns take center stage, and even as someone who doesn't usually enjoy the feel of guns in games, there's an unquestionable actionable captivation in its utilization here. Slightly comparable to a Muso, the sensation of slaying innumerable foes with gunfire, accentuated by different types of these firearms, ensures continuous thrills that personally never grew dull. Drones provide timed fire support as well, and remembering their presence can make a real difference. Then, the physical swings, while fairly limited due to a more constricting stamina gauge, are surprisingly graceful in their animation speeds. Dash attacks are a vital addition that adds appreciated cohesion to some of the more layered encounters too. Plus, you have a shield that's ideal for blocking incoming shots, particularly from stationary turrets. There's a genuinely healthy degree of obstacles and strategies to peruse on the fly, despite how clumsy some of the movement can be due to spacing. Still, the undoubtedly most important maneuver in your arsenal is the backstep, which doubles as a perfect dodge that can utterly destroy bosses via counters. It's a satisfying practice to perform, bolstered by condensed slowdown for maximum impact. However, its enchantment is mitigated by overly generous dodging windows and its odd contextual requirements. Simply put, the perfect dodges can only work in conjunction with the backstep rather than any directional evasion, making it more restrictive than it otherwise would be. I can't say I ever got entirely used to it, since the only one-button necessity made it a tad awkward to work with. Outside of combat, the last major system worth mentioning regards the in-universe streaming. When traversing the tower, Akemi and Ryoko's efforts are being live-streamed to an eager audience, and you can fulfill viewer requests for loads of overarching currency. Subscriber and viewer counts rise too. Why exactly does this work without the employees putting a stop to it? Don't worry, it adds to this weirdly surreal PS2 era charm where the vibes take precedence over anything else. The requests themselves are pretty unbalanced in their challenge. Some, like killing a handful of foes with firearms, are comically easy, while the time-limited completion ones can be tricky. Thankfully, you have a meaningful choice in becoming cocky with your viewership for an objective, essentially taking a double or nothing gamble that could cost reception growth for the rest of the run. Equipable mods, power-ups that simultaneously instill trade-offs, also embrace a similar idea. Impressively, at least on PS5, Full Metal Schoolgirl boasts a silky smooth frame rate that stays pretty consistent, demonstrating strong optimization, and the visuals are strikingly vibrant, though repeated forays into the same sets of floors can make the presentation a bit monotonous. At the same time, it makes the new aesthetics and occasional gimmicks of later areas more distinct. On an offhanded note, I was taken aback by a full English dub and even an English theme song. Granted, they're both quite cheesy, and the former isn't exactly masterfully directed, but I do enjoy some cheese. Chances are, you were probably aware of whether you would give Full Metal Schoolgirl a shot. Its promotion accurately represented the cyclical and oftentimes amusingly wacky journey it is. Progression is a slow burn, needlessly lengthened by drawn-out systems, but there's enough polish embedded within its core gameplay loop to make it worthwhile for those patient enough. The later hours have a bit of a meaningful payoff as well. Ultimately, if the idea of destroying thousands of robots amidst gradual upgrades is appealing, and you don't mind the notion of restarting exploration from the ground up, then Full Metal Schoolgirl is a recommendable time sink. This chaotic melding of Earth Defense Force's iconic excess and absurdity is at least memorable above all else. Noisy Pixel is giving Full Metal Schoolgirl a 7.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our supporters on Patreon for making our coverage possible. Go to patreon.com/noisypixel if you'd like to join them and receive our monthly digital magazine in addition to our eternal thanks. Noisy Pixel is an independent operation working hard to bring you news, reviews, previews, and more. Leave a comment below to start a conversation, come talk nerdy with us in our community Discord, and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content.
Noisy Pixel.